Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 5, verse 118. We shall be starting our reading today. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yad kripatam ham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. मंदिर करिया राजा सेवा चलिला साक्षी गोपाल बलि तांड्र नाम ख्याति haila. The king constructed a nice temple and regular service was executed. Gopala became very famous under the name of Sākṣi-gopāla, which means the witness Gopal. Verse 119. E mata vidyanagare Sākṣi-gopāla seva angikara kari achena chirakala. Thus Sākṣi-gopāla stayed in Vidyanagar and accepted service for a very long time. Purport: this city of Vidyanagar is situated in Trailanga Desha, South India, on the bank of river Godavari. The place where the Godavari flows into the Bay of Bengal is called Kota Desha. The Orissa kingdom was very powerful and Kota Desha was the capital of Orissa. It was then known as Vidyanagar. Formerly, the city was situated on the southern side of the river Godavari. At that time, King Purushottam Deva managed to control Orissa and appoint a government. The present city of Vidyanagar is on the southeast side of the river, only 20 to 25 miles from Rajamundri. During the time of Maharaj Prataprudra, Sri Ramananda Rai was the governor there. Vijayanagar is not identical with Vidyanagar. Verse 120. Utkalera Raja Purushottam Deva Nama Se Desha Jini Nila Kariya Sangram. Later there was a fight and this country was conquered by King Purushottam Deva of Orissa. Verse 121. Sai Raj Jini Nila Tandra Simhasan Manikya Simhasan Nam Anek Ratan. That king was victorious over the king of Vidyanagar and he took possession of his throne, the Manikya Simhasan, which was bedecked with many jewels. Verse 122. Purushottam Dev se bada bhakta arya Gopal charane mage Chalamora Rajya. King Purushottam Dev was a great devotee and was advanced in civilization of the Aryans. He begged at the lotus feet of Gopal, please come to my kingdom. Verse 123. Tandra Bhakti Vashe Gopal Tandre Ajna Dila Gopal La Iya Se Katake Aila. When the king begged him to come to his kingdom, Gopala, who was already obliged for his devotional service, accepted his prayer. Thus the king took the Gopal deity and went back to Katak. Verse 124. Jagannathe Ani Dila Manikya Simhasana Katake Gopala Seva Karila Sthapana. After winning the Manikya throne, King Purushottam Deva took it to Jagannath Puri and presented it to Lord Jagannath. In the meantime, he also established regular worship of the Gopal deity at Katak. Verse 125. Tanhar Mahishi Aila Gopal Darshane Bhakti Kari Bahu Alankar Kaila Samarpane. When the Gopal deity was installed at Katak, the queen of Purushottam Dev went to see him with great devotion, presented various kinds of ornaments. Verse 126. Tanhara Nasate Bahu Mulya Mukta Haya Taha Dite Ichha Haila Manete Chintaya. The queen had a very valuable pearl which she wore on her nose and she wished to give it to Gopal. She then began to think as follows. Verse 127. Thakurera Nasate Yadi Chidra Thakita Tabe e Dasi Mukta Nasaya Paraita. Translation: if there were a hole in the deity's nose, I could transfer the pearl to him. Verse 128. Eta chinti namaskari gela swabhavane ratri sheshe gopal tanre kahena swapne. Considering this, the queen offered her obeisances to Gopal and returned to her palace. That night she dreamed that Gopala appeared and began to speak to her as follows. Verse 129. Balyakale mata mora nasa chidra kari mukta paranchila bahu yatna kari. During my childhood, my mother made a hole in my nose and with great endeavor set a pearl there. Verse 130. Se chidra adyapiha achay nasate se mukta paraha yaha chaya cha dite. That very hole is still there, and you can use it to set the pearl you decide to give it to me. Verse 131. स्वप्ने देखी से रानी राजा के कहिला राजा सह मुक्ता लेना मंदिरे आइला. After dreaming this, the queen explained it to her husband, the king. Both the king and the queen then went to the temple with the pearl. Verse 132. Paraila mukta nasaya chidra dekhina maha mahotsav kaila anandit haina. Seeing the hole in the nose of the deity, they set the pearl there and being very pleased, held a great festival. Verse 133. Se haite gopalera katakete sthiti ei lagi Sākṣi-gopāla naam haila khyati. Since then, Gopal has been situated in the city of Katak, and he has been ever since known as Sākṣi-gopāla. Verse 134. Nityananda mukhe shuni Gopala charita tushta haila Mahaprabhu swabhakta sahita. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration of Gopal's activities. Both he and his personal devotees became very pleased. Verse 135. Gopalera age yabe prabhura hai sthiti bhakta gane dekhe yene yena dunhe eka murti. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting before the Gopal deity, all the devotees saw him and the deity as being of the same form. Verse 136. Dunhe eka varna dunhe prakanda sharira dunhe raktambar dunhara swabhava gambhira. They were of the same complexion and both had gigantic bodies, both wore saffron cloth and both were very grave. Verse 137. Mahatejo maya dunhe kamal nayana dunhar bhava vesh dunhe chandra vadan. The devotees saw that both Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gopal were brilliantly effulgent and had eyes like lotuses. They were both absorbed in ecstasy and both their faces resembled full moons. Verse 138. Dunha dekhi Nityananda Prabhu Maharange Tharathari kare hase bhakta gana sange. When Nityanand saw the Gopal deity and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way, he began to exchange remarks with the devotees, all of whom were smiling. Verse 139. Mata Maharange se ratri vanchya prabhate chalila mangala arti dekina. Thus with great pleasure Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night in the temple. After seeing the Mangal Arti ceremony in the morning, he started on his journey. Verse 140. Bhuvaneshwara pathe yaiche kaila darshana vistari varniyachena das Vrindavan. In his book Chaitanya Bhagavad, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very vividly described the places visited by the Lord on the way to Bhuvaneshwar. Purport in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very nicely described the Lord's journey en route to Cuttack. On that journey, the Lord visited a place known as Balihasta or Balka Chatti. He then visited the city of Bhubaneswar, where Lord Shiva's temple is located. The temple of Bhubaneswar is situated about 5 to 6 miles from Balkati Chatti. The temple of Lord Shiva is mentioned in the Skanda Puran in the narration about the Lord's garden and the one mango tree. A king named Kashiraj wanted to fight with Lord Krishna, and consequently he took shelter of Lord Shiva to acquire the power to fight the Lord. Being pleased with his worship, Lord Shiva helped him fight Krishna. Lord Shiva's name is Ashutosh, which indicates that he is very easily satisfied when one worships him, regardless of the purpose, and he gives his devotee whatever benediction the devotee wants. Therefore, people are generally very fond of worshipping Lord Shiva. Thus, Kashiraj was helped by Lord Shiva, but in the fight with Lord Krishna, he was not only defeated but killed. In this way, the weapon known as Pashupat Astra was baffled, and Krishna set fire to the city of Kashi. Later, Lord Shiva became conscious of his mistake in helping Kashiraj, and he begged Lord Krishna's forgiveness. As a benediction from Lord Krishna, he received a place known as Ekamra Kanan. Later, the kings of the Keshari dynasty established their capital there, and for many hundreds of years they reigned over the state of Orissa. Verse 141. Kamalapure Asi Bhargi Nadi Snan Kaila Nityanand Hate Prabhu Danda Dharila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Kamalpura, he took his bath in the Bhargi Nadi river and left his sannyas staff in the hands of Lord Nityananda. Purport in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda chapter 2, it is said that when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Sri Bhubaneswar, he visited the temple of Lord Shiva known as Gupta Kashi, the concealed Varanasi. Lord Shiva established this as a place of pilgrimage by bringing water from all holy places and creating the lake known as Bindu Sarovar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in this lake, feeling a great regard for Lord Shiva. From the spiritual point of view, people still go to take a bath in this lake. Actually, by taking a bath there, one becomes very healthy, even from the material viewpoint. Taking a bath and drinking the water of this lake can cure any disease of the stomach. Regular bathing certainly cures indigestion. The river Bhargi or Bhargi Nadi came to be known as the Danda Bhanga Nadi after Lord Chaitanya bathed in its water. It is situated 6 miles north of Jagannath Puri. The reason for the change in names is given as follows. Verse 142 and 143. Kapoteshwar dekhite gela bhakt gana sange eka nityanand prabhu kaila dand bhange teen khanda kari danda dila bhasana bhakt sange aila prabhu mahesha dekhina. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva known as Kapoteshwar, Nityanand Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas staff in custody, broke the staff in 3 parts and threw it into the river Bhargi Nadi. Later, this river became known as Dandabhanga Nadi. Purport: the mystery of the sannyasa danda or the staff of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been explained by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the order of sannyas from a Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasis generally carry 1 staff or danda. Taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's absence, Srila Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 parts and threw it into the river later known as Dandabhanga Nadi. In the sannyas order, there are 4 divisions: Kutichak, Bahudak, Hamsa and Paramhamsa. Only when the sannyasi remains on the Kutichak and Bahudaka platforms can he carry a staff. However, when one is elevated to the status of Hamsa or Paramhansa after touring and preaching the Bhakti cult, he must give up the sannyas staff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore said Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Two personalities, Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, are combined in the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, considering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an extraordinary person, Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not wait for the Paramham stage. He reasoned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically on the Paramham stage. Therefore, he does not need to carry the sannyas danda. This is the reason Sri Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 pieces and threw it into the river. Verse 144. Jagannathera diula dekhi avishta haila dandavat kari preme nachite lagila. After seeing the temple of Jagannath from a distant place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately became ecstatic. After offering obeisances to the temple, he began to dance in the ecstasy of love of God. Purport: the word Diula refers to the temple where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated. The present temple of Jagannath Puri was constructed by King Ananga Bhima. Historians say that this temple must have been constructed at least 2000 years ago. During the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the small buildings surrounding the original temple had not been constructed, nor was the high platform in front of the temple present during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 145. Bhakta Gana Avishta Hena Sabe Nache Gaye Prema Veshe Prabhu Sange Raj Marge Yaye. All the devotees became ecstatic in the association of Lord Chaitanya, and thus absorbed in love of God, they were dancing and singing while going along the main road. Verse 146. Hase Kande Nache Prabhu Hunkar Garjana Tina Krosha Patha Haila Sahasra Yojana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed, cried, danced, and made many ecstatic vibrations and sounds there. Although the temple was only 6 miles away, to him the distance seemed thousands of miles. Purport: when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, he considered one moment to last as long as 12 years. After seeing the Jagannath temple from a distant place, the Lord became so ecstatic that he considered the 6-mile path many thousands of miles long. Verse 147. Chalite Chalite Prabhu Aila Athara Nala Tahan Asi Prabhu Kichu Bahaya Prakashila. Thus, walking and walking, the Lord eventually arrived at the place known as Athara Nala. Arriving there, he expressed his external consciousness, speaking to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Purport: at the entrance of Jagannath Puri is a bridge with 18 arches called Athar Nala. Athara means 18. Verse 148. Nityananda kahe Prabhu deha more danda Nityananda bale danda haila tina khanda. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had thus regained external consciousness, he asked Lord Nityananda Prabhu, please return my staff. Purport: Nityananda Prabhu then replied, it has been broken into 3 parts. Verse 149. Prema Veshe Padila Tumi Tomare Dharinu Toma Sahasai Danda Upare Padinu. Nityananda Prabhu said, when you fell down in ecstasy, I caught you, but both of us fell upon the staff. Verse 150. Dui Janar Bhare Danda Khanda Khanda Haila Se Khanda Kanha Padila Kichu Na Janila. Thus the staff broke under our weight. Where the pieces have gone, I cannot say. Verse 151. Mora apradhe tomar danda haila khanda ye uchta haya mora kare tara danda. It is certainly because of my offense that your staff was broken. Now you can punish me on this account as you think proper. Verse 152. Shuni kichu Mahaprabhu dukha prakashila ishat krodha kari kichu kahite lagila. After hearing the story about how his staff had been broken, the Lord expressed a little sadness and displaying a bit of anger began to speak as follows. Purport: Sri Nityananda Prabhu considered Sri Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the staff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all the other sannyasis that they should not give up the staff before attaining the platform of Paramhansa. Seeing that the regulative principles should be slackened by such action, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the staff personally. However, Nityananda broke it. For this reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed a little anger. It is said in the Bhagavad-Gita 3.21, Yadyad acharati shreshthas tad evetaro janah. Whatever great people do, others follow. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who try to imitate Paramhamsas. Verse 153. Nilachale ani more sabe hita kaila sabe danda dhana chila taha na rakhila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You have all benefited me by bringing me to the Nilachal. However, my only possession was that one staff, and you have not kept it." Verse 154. Tumi sabha age yaha Ishwara dekhite kiba ami age yai na yab sahite. So all of you should go before or behind me to see Lord Jagannath. I shall not go with you. Verse 155. Mukunda datta kahe Prabhu tumi yaha age ami sabe pache yaba na yab Tomar Sange. Mukunda Datta told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "My Lord, you should go ahead and allow all the others to follow. We shall not go with you." Verse 156. Eta Shuni Prabhu Age Chalila Shigra Gati Bujite Na Pare Kahe Keha Dui Prabhura Mati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then began to walk very swiftly before all the other devotees. No one could understand the real purpose of the two Lords, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Verse 157. Inho kena danda bhange tenho kene bhangaye bhangena krodhe tenho inhake doshaye. The devotees could not understand why Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff, why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, or why after permitting him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. Verse 158. Danda bhanga lila e parama gambhira se bujhe dunhara pade yandra bhakti dhira. The pastime of the breaking of the staff is very deep. Only one whose devotion is fixed upon the lotus feet of the two lords can understand it. Purport: one who understands Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu is in reality can understand their identity as well as the breaking of the staff. All the previous acharyas, being induced to engage themselves fully in the service of Lord, gave up the attachment for material life and thus accepted the staff, which signifies full engagement of the mind, speech and body in the service of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the regulative principles of the renounced order of life. That is completely clear. However, in the Paramham stage, there is no need to accept a danda or a staff. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly in the Paramhamsa stage. Nonetheless, to indicate that everyone should take sannyas at the end of life in order to engage fully in the service of Lord. Even Paramhamsas like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotees follow the regulative principles unfailingly. Indeed, that was his purpose. Nityananda Prabhu, who was his eternal servitor, believed that there was no need for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to carry the staff and to declare to the world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was above all regulations. He broke it into three pieces. The pastime known as Danda Bhanga Lila is thus explained by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Verse 159. Brahmanya Deva Gopalera Mahima E Dhanya Nityananda Vakta Yar Shrota Sri Chaitanya. The glories of Lord Gopal, who is merciful to Brahmans, are very great. The narration of Sākṣi-Gopāla was spoken by Nityananda Prabhu and heard by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: there are 4 points of instructions one should consider in the story of Sākṣi-Gopāla. First, the deity Arch-Vigraha of Sri Gopal is eternally Satchidanand Vigraha, the transcendental form of the Lord. Second, the deity surpasses material regulative principles and extends the reality of transcendental principles. Third, one can be situated in transcendental position after becoming a Brahmana. Thus, as Brahmana, one has to follow the regulative principles very strictly. Lastly, Brahmanaya Deva indicates Lord Krishna himself, who is worshipped. Thus, Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. This indicates that a devotee who is under the protection of Krishna is automatically situated as a Brahman, and such Brahman is not illusioned. This is factual. Verse 160. Shraddha yukta hena iha shune ye jana achire milaye tare Gopal charan. One who hears this narration of Lord Sākṣi-Gopāla with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. Verse 161. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Shri Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit following in the footsteps. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purports to Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Lila, 5th chapter, describing the activities of Sākṣi-Gopāla. So we will start from chapter 6 of Madhya Lila next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.